Okay, we're going to try this again tonight. See if I can not screw it up this time. So I want you to copy it. Click here. I want you to right click. I want you to hit paste special values only. Remember, the game is we need to have zeros in each row. So click here, -4, because 4 is the shortest one in that row. Click and drag it over. This is the second time I've made this video tonight. I really should try to give up teaching, I suppose, because it's not been good today. But oh well, it's almost beddy by time. It's only 10:30, no big deal. Click on this guy here. 6 is the shortest one in that row, so -6. Remember, if you're not getting a 0 in every row when you're doing this, you're screwing it up. Because that was the whole point. So when you subtract 5 from this row, 5 is going to become a 0, obviously. And on the last one, this guy -4, because that is the shortest. Let's see if we can not screw it up this time. So if we do that, we get zeros in each row. We don't have a 0 in this column though. So I could do it. I'm going to practice copying it and pasting it again down here. You do you. Oops. You could have just kind of left it where it was and subtracted that way. So here I need to go equals this guy -2. And then drag that down. Done. So I've got a 0 in every column and a 0 in every row. We are good to go. So let's penalize this 0. The shortest in this row is a 0. The shortest in this column besides 0 itself is a 1. 0 plus 1 is 1. In this row, 0 is the smallest besides this guy here. Obviously 0 and then 1. 1. Next one down. So in this row, in this column, it's 3. In this row, it's 1, so 4. In this column, it's a 0. In this row, it's a 1, so 1. In this column, we got a 2. In this row, we've got a 2. And over here, we've got a 0 and a 1, so 1. So let's think about this one. We've got E to A. We've also got A to E. Notice how they have the same weight. Here we've got D to B. And we've got B to D. They also have the same weight. And then here we've got A to C, or C to A rather. So we're going to use B to D. Of course, you could have done D to B just as easily, yes? Because they were the same weight. So I'm going to copy this and then paste special down here, values only. We need to get rid of the row with the B in it, so that's this guy, delete, and the column with the D in it, and delete, and shift left. Awesome. Now, zeros, 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 0, 0, 0, 0. They all have a 0. Awesome. So let's penalize again. So from this guy here, you've got a 0 and a 1. So a 1. This fella here, you've got a 0 and a 1, so also a 1. This fella here, okay, you've got a 0, so get a 0 down here, and a 1 over here, so a 1. This dude here, you've got a 2 and a 2, so a 4. This fella here, you've got a 0 and a 1, so a 1. Now you're like, this is it, Mr. Green. What's this one? Not so fast, homie, because that's D to B. And we've already done that. So no can do. So then I've got a tie for next. So for instance, let's say I choose A to C. Not important which one I do. Just got to choose. So I'm going to grab these guys, copy, click here, go to paste values. I want to get rid of row A, column C. There we go. Sweet, right? Now, we need to have a 0 in this column, which means I need to subtract 1 off of each of them. There's just 2 of them. Just do it like that. It's easier. So 0, 0, 0, 0, 0, 0. We got zeros. So let's penalize this 0. We've got a 0 and a 0, so 0. Awesome. This one we've got a 0 and a 2, so 2. This one here we've got 2 and a 2, so 4. This one down here we've got a 0 and a 2, so 2. So look what we have to choose from. We've got C to, oh, what am I got here? What am I saying? We're talking this one here. So this one here we've got C to E, and of course this one here you've got E to A. Now either of those we could do. So you're like, what about the 4? What about it? That's D to B. We've already been there. I'm going to choose this one, I think, this time, just because I feel like I can. So that's C to E. Correct? That's from here to here. Cool. So let's copy these dudes again. Paste it here. I want to get rid of C. And I want to get rid of E. Delete. And OK. Now, each row and each column has a 0. If you were to punish this 0 here, you get a 5. If you were to punish this 0 here, you'd also get a 5. So that means they're tied. Now, this is where you have to pay attention. We have D to A. We've got D to B. We've got E to A. And we've got E to B. Those are our 4 different routes. Now, the punished ones are D to B. Well, friends, we've already used that, haven't we? Somewhere? Yes, right there. No can do. So let's get rid of this one. Okay. I'm thinking the next one is this E to A. Let's go look. Have I used that yet? I have not used that yet. So, again, I chose this 0 and this 0. So there you go. So I'm going to choose E to A. Okay. Cool. So E to A, that means I get rid of, oh shoot, now I gotta be careful because I put that in the same row. I'm just going to delete these guys. Okay. Now, we can't go D to B. That leaves us with so, oh, I'm sorry. Let me back the train up here. There we go. Just a minute. Darn it. One more time. Back the train up. There we go. So now you're like, E to A. I can use E to A. Not so fast, homie. Because if you use E to A, that's this guy and this guy, that forces you to use D to B. And that is not bueno. So we can't use this guy. Who does that leave us with? That leaves us with D to A and E to B. Okay? And so if I were a person who lived at city A, I would go A to C, and then C goes to E, and then E goes to B, and then B goes to D, and then D goes back to A. So that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. There's 5 cities, and then I get back home. So A to C is how far? Let's go up and look. So A to C, the original matrix, A to C was 6. C to E was 7. E to B was 6. B to D was 5. And D to A was 8. Okay? So A to C is 6. C to E is 7. E to B, making double check myself, E to B is 6. D to B to D is 5. And D to A is 8. For a grand total of 13, 19, 26, 32. Okay? Now, today on the assignment, you're going to do one of those, and then you're going to also do the nearest neighbor algorithm. So A, who's the closest to A? Well, if you look at A here, the closest one is E. And of course, I would be doing this on paper, but since I've already done it on this computer, I'm just going to keep rolling with it. Once you're at E, who's the closest besides A? Why, Mr. Groom, it's B. You're right. B. Oops, stop it. And then from B, who's closest, Mr. Groom? Why, I think D is. I think you're right. And then from D, who haven't we been to? We haven't been to C yet. And then, of course, we got to get back to A, nearest neighbor. And let's do it with B. So if a fellow were to start at B, B to D, from D the closest is, well, it's B. We've already been there, though. So again, it's either A or E. I'm going to try E, I guess, just for grins. Hey, from E, who's the closest that I haven't been to? A. I haven't been to C yet. Okay, I got to get back to B. Stream, let's do it for C. Who is the closest to C? A. Okay. C to A. And then from A, who's the closest? It looks like E. And then from E, the closest looks to be B. And then I haven't been to D yet. And now I got to get back to C, of course. Okay. And then D. Who is the closest from D? Looks like B. And from B, the closest is, already been to D, dummy. So E, looks like. And then from E, the closest is A. Okay, I haven't been to C yet. Okay, I got to get back to D. As you can see, these are all the same. Nothing's changed about them. Oh, by the way, they're the same as this route down here, I believe. AC, AC. Ooh, this one's a little different. Nice. So you'll add these up. Of course, I'm not adding them up. That's easy enough to do. We've already done that. E to A. Alright, from A, the closest is C. Alright, so from C, the closest is E. Nope, it's already been to E, stupid. Can't go to C. So it's either between D or B, right? So if we're on C, D or B, B it is. Alright, then I got to get to D at this point, and then I got to get back to E. Okay, so you'll do those 5 nearest neighbors and then compare it to this guy down here. When you turned it in today, okay, I want to see in Excel, I want to see this work done. I want to see a clear, this is the path that I use, Mr. Groom. Okay, put it this way. You can either turn it in Excel looking just exactly like I did it, by the way, with totals for these guys too, or if you're weird, do the math in Excel and write this stuff on paper if you prefer that better. And maybe you do. That's totally fine. If you do it on paper to turn it in, please make sure you email this to me as well. Pay attention to pay attention to what the assignment is. It'll be online. So, and then it'll say right here, it'll say subject line, whatever. Make sure you send it the appropriate subject line if you send it in that way.